Hey there, Z-Man fans, and welcome back again to the show as we are talking Black Mirror, Season 5, Episode 2, called Smithereens. So again, we have Dustin here, and we're going to get into some spoilers. But first, we want to give just a quick setup, and this might help you to know whether this episode, if it interests you or not, and whether you want to maybe go see it. And then after a few minutes, then we will announce spoilers, and we're going to dive right into this episode. So, Dustin, give us a setup here.
Yeah. So, I mean, brief setup. You've got a man. Kind of struggling with something, and you find out later kind of what that is. But he's
Chris. Is that his name?
Chris is his name. Basically, he's kind of hanging out around this company called Smithereen, and he takes a hostage from the company. He thinks it's like an executive, and he's trying to basically reach the head of the company. He's obviously had some trauma in his life and something dramatic that's happened to him, right. And he wants to resolve it with this kind of the owner of the company Smithereen, and they created this social media app that comes into play, and a lot of drama ensues from there. It's a very small cast of characters. It's very intimate, very emotional. But I'd say
very emotional. They really, I mean, at one point, I mean, it didn't quite bring me to tears, but at one point, I was like, you felt this man's pain. So if you love a solid drama, we all know about the Black Mirror, we've spoke to before, and you know that obviously they try to do these technology twists and so forth. And although there is a social media app involved, this one hits kind of like on a different level. I think you'd say, Dustin, this is probably a little different than your average.
It is, and it's more. A lot of Black Mirror episodes are this technology that's a little more advanced than what we're seeing today, and how it impacts kind of the world and people and how they interact. But this one is this could happen right now. Like these scenarios and kind of what's happening in this episode
fully in
are very realistic, very feasible things that could just happen in today's world. So it's very relatable.
Absolutely,
the actors were really good. I'd say the episode was good. Wasn't one of my favorite ones, but definitely a solid episode, especially if you kind of like that more dramatic feel.
So we can definitely talk score here in just a second. So let's go ahead and talk some spoilers here. So again, guys, if you don't want to really know the really true meat of the behind the scenes of what this guy's finally after, what Chris is after, please go ahead and exit now. Come back and visit us later. Content will always be out here for you to watch. So with that said, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So Chris. Okay. So we saw him. He's distraught. He's been trying to find a person that works there because he wants to try and get to this Billy Bauer, played by Topher Grace, mind you. And I have seen Topher in a recent. So I watched that Hot Zone show, which didn't quite strike me like Chernobyl did and some of the others that are out there. But all the same, Topher was in there, and I wasn't fully loving his character. You know, I don't think he was really getting his potential. But I did like Topher Grace in this one, playing this Billy Bauer head executive. Well, not head executive, the creator, right? He is the creator of the.
It's kind of the Steve Jobs, but he was. So it's almost like he built this platform, and he built like this social networking tool. But then he almost got phased out. Like the company got bigger than him.
It's a monster now. It's just
a monster, and you have all these executives running things, and he's just kind of there. He's like the face of the company, but he's not really super important anymore. He's not critical. He doesn't really make a lot of decisions. And
I mean, it sounds like at least with the hierarchy tree, it sounds like he's still important, but he's like important on a much more maybe existential or just like it's like you said, Nick, he's the face, so we need him. We can't have him be gone. But like I said, all these other little pieces and people are working the puzzles and keeping this monster going, and also just evolving at a crazy rate.
And growing and changing. And I think what surprised me most about his character was just how relatable he was, and how he was very involved and really wanted to help Chris, and wanted to make sure that, you know, he kind of got help or got what he needed and nothing bad happened. And, you know, most of the time you would think somebody in that position would just be like I don't want to talk to this guy. Like, what?
Right.
Why should I bother with this? But
so Chris
I was surprised by
go ahead. Yeah, I was too. I thought he might be more like the kind of like the just entitled kind of like I don't really give
Yeah,
a shit about these people. I mean, it's their
yeah,
problems, not mine. But that's not how he was. He wanted to try and help Chris. So Chris, he has a gun. He finally kidnaps Jaden, this very young guy. He's dressed up to the T, to the nines, if you will, in a suit. He thinks he's some exec. Find out he's just a damn intern. I mean, he just started a few weeks ago, not even. And so he's like, "You're not going to get anything for me." And it's not that Chris wants money or this or that or even retribution. He wants to be able to speak to Billy about this tragic event that happened to him.
yeah.
And it's the first time that we're actually going to see Chris actually open up because he's part of a support group, right, Dustin?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
So at one point in the episode, he's with the support group, and the leader of the group, I think, was kind of looking for some companionship as well. And she had lost her daughter. Correct? Yeah, she lost
Yeah.
her daughter.
Yes.
And then her and Chris go out for a drink. They end up hooking up and start talking.
Which I was
And
like man, she interesting duo there, right?
it jumped to it pretty quickly, and ended up talking. She had been trying to get into one of her daughter's social media accounts called
Persona.
Persona, right?
Yeah.
Persona, and
Persona. Yeah.
she kept trying these different passwords, and it would only let her try
It's like
three
three
passwords.
three a day, and then she has to.
Yeah,
I mean, you want to talk about like not I wouldn't call it OCD, but the passion. I mean, of
yeah,
trying to figure out why did her daughter commit suicide, and you know what I would say I can't relate, but I can understand.
sure,
We become crazed when something like that happens to
yeah.
a loved one that you just don't know, and it's the fact of not knowing. I think that could just drive a person, literally a sane person, insane.
And she obviously was blindsided by that. Didn't see it coming. She's like, I don't know why my daughter would ever do this. So I need to figure out in her account like what happened, who's
And even
thought.
though she's the mother, I'm sorry to interrupt, but she's the mother, and the company won't even
Yeah,
release. I mean, she's deceased. There's got to be something, and I mean, f the clauses.
yeah. So they
What?
won't help her. She's just trying to. All she can do is try to guess the password 3 times a day, and he has this huge notebook of all these possible password combinations that she's going through 3 times a day.
And Chris
So
remembers this for later on.
Chris remembers it. So it was a really important scene, and you kind of see like what she's struggling with, and it moves on, and Chris has Jaden in the car, and once he finds out he was an intern, he kind of loses it for a
He
second.
does.
He's
He's
like,
just like, ah.
so he has a gun. He has a gun on him.
He-
He's kind of threatening him. He's holding him hostage, and he's trying to get a hold of Billy Bauer. But he thought Jaden would be able to help him do that. So that's what he wanted that executive for. Was I
Right.
need you to call Billy Bauer. I need you to get Billy on the phone. And Jaden's like, I don't know Billy Bauer. Like I'm not going to be able to get him on the phone.
Right.
And
I mean, it sounds like most people at the company probably don't even have access to him.
yeah,
But how interesting in this episode as well that how quickly things escalated. I mean, it wasn't like hey, I'm going to keep talking and trying to work this out with this company. I mean, the police were on his ass almost from the beginning. I mean,
yeah. They drove by a police car, right? And they saw
yeah.
him kind of in the back,
Oh,
like
that's he saw with the bag
uh,
over his head.
yeah. So then they followed, and yeah, that's when all that started to ensue.
So you got the police, you got their version of the UK, I think it was, but the
Yeah.
SWAT, and they have snipers on him, basically looking for the clean shot if they can. Things are getting crazy at first. And it's interesting also how they were showing how the technology was being used against Chris because with his phone and so forth, right? So
Yeah.
while all this is going on, he admits to Jaden that the gun's not real, or at least that's what he tells him, right? And but meanwhile, the company is using his phone to they did like some kind of retract virus or whatever that pretty
Yeah.
much is letting him hear everything. And I thought that was very ingenious and very interesting, and also like seems very privacy,
Yeah.
like not
But also
good.
very plausible. Like that could
Oh, and I'm sure it's
that
already
could happen.
possible.
Yeah.
You know it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as things going on, I mean, the snipers finally even try to take a shot. They end up hitting Jaden instead of Chris, and Chris is upset. Jaden's obviously upset, and he finally shows that it's a real gun, and everything's just going nuts. Tensions are getting high. They finally get Topher Grace. They get Billy Bauer finally on the phone. And it was interesting. It was Billy's choice. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
was telling him, even the FBI guy. You guys remember what does he goes? Could you just tell the guy to shut the hell up and
Yeah.
and just take him off? I mean, that's like the FBI was almost like useless.
Yeah.
And then even his people were like, "Do not talk to this guy, sir." And he's like, "All right, fine, I'll do it myself." And he gets out his laptop and he goes, "What does he go like? The one awesome thing about my job." God mode, and he just kind of clicks it, and he's in doing everything he wants to do, which pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So go ahead. So after they start talking, we start to find out about Chris's
Yeah,
tragedy.
so Chris's tragedy was he was very addicted to this social media platform, and he was driving. I think it was his fiance.
It
It
was his
was they
fiance.
weren't married,
I
right?
don't think they were married. It was his fiance, but they were
He and his
very much
fiance
in love.
were driving home, and he
She was asleep.
heard it heard a notification on his phone, and he had to pick it up and look at it to see what was happening on this social media platform, and
Yes.
ends up getting into an accident, and his fiance dies. And I think the more significant part is the other driver was drunk, but Chris knew it was his fault. Like he
Yeah.
was looking at his phone, and
He's the
he's the
one
one
who
that caused
swerved.
the accident.
Yeah.
Um, but all the blame was placed on this drunk driver because he was drunk. So
Yeah.
I think that's even more guilt that Chris is feeling because he knows he was the one at fault, and all the blame got placed on someone else. So it never really got resolved. And I think the whole point of the episode was he wanted to say it. He wanted to tell
Yes.
Billy, like, we've got to do something like
About your
different.
the
We
app
need to
and everything
we need to
else.
change this because it's becoming so addictive that it's really ruining people's lives in situations like this, especially.
And while Chris was telling the story, I mean, clearly, I mean, the emotion, everything's hitting. It's you're feeling this. I mean, you
Yeah.
understand this man's pain, and also how relatable because a lot of us get on our phones when we
Yeah.
should not be, and I am absolutely guilty of it. And
Same.
it's definitely changed my perspective on things. And I'm starting to find myself. I'm like, don't do that, and I should know that anyways, right? So shame on me. But I want everybody to start really thinking about that. You know, people always say a lot. You know, Chris Hardwick, on the Talking Dead on TV. He's always like, don't text and drive. You know, you hear those things, which you're like, yeah. You know, I got it. I'm under control. But we're really not. You
All it
know,
takes is a split
a
second
split second.
of something happening, and you don't see it and react to it.
A
And
kid runs out to the road, a
yeah,
road that you've traveled 1,000 times, and you know there's no one ever on this road. You
right.
look down and you hit the kid. You are now on the line for manslaughter, or
Yeah,
maybe worse. So it's something to really think about, guys, as you're looking for it. So, but to hit back on also Billy Bauer's character, I thought was interesting was like it's like I like that he was kind of a loss for words when he heard Chris's story because
yeah,
it's kind of like most of us would. It's like, what do you really say to that? Except for I am so sorry, and you know this thing, this app, this whole project has turned into something that I barely even control anymore. They're
right.
just it's addictive. They just want to get so it is our Facebook of today. It
Yeah,
absolutely is, right?
yeah,
And it is addicting. It's amazing the kind of things they put in. Even though you don't think it's addictive, it is, and we're all on it. You just look around, you see it more and more. You see it at family events. You see it when you're at the mall, when you're at the Six Flags or anywhere else. People are always on their freaking phones. So it's just madness. But let's talk about the ending because that's the big part. This is where I call it made or break the episode for a lot of people, including you, Dustin. Right?
yeah. I struggled with the ending. So you got the snipers taking shots. They hit Jaden at one point. I know. I don't know if Chris got grazed, but then it just kind of
Yeah, I don't
fades
think
to
he did.
black, and that's
Oh,
it.
that's right. So they show this. That's right. They show the sniper scope, and it's
Yeah,
going back and forth, and it looks like it has a bead exactly on Chris, right? But Jaden's still in the very part of the
yeah,
background, you know, because that's right. Jaden decided to be brave because I mean, Chris is about to check out. I forgot
yeah,
about that part real quick. He's about to check out, and that's when Jaden sees the chance because he's not fully paying attention, and he goes to grab the gun, and they're struggling, whatever. So of course the police think that it's Chris's character that's going nuts and he's about to kill him, but no, it's not even the fact. Chris is actually a good guy. He went around the wrong method to try and get
right.
it. He went to the extremes, but yeah, like you said, that sniper scope's on him, and then suddenly you hear the shot. It blanks out. You have no idea. Could have killed Jaden. Could have killed Chris. Could have killed them both. Could have missed.
Yeah, which
Okay, what do you think? So, what do you think? So, in your mind, we all get a perception when we see things like that. Your mind automatically goes to either a good scenario, a bad scenario, whatever. What did you think? Just real quick.
I thought it hit Jaden.
Okay, I thought it killed Chris. So that's very interesting.
So my
Okay,
mind goes to the guy probably messed up and something bad happened.
okay, and that's very possible, but they never show. And
Yeah.
then the last few blips, they do those flash-ins. Like, do they always do that with Black Mirror? By the way, Dustin, is it always like those flash-ins with Black, and then they come back in with a quick scene, and they go back out, and they come back in
No.
with a quick scene? Okay,
No.
so that must just be a season
Yeah.
five thing because they did that in episode 1. But so either way, whatever you think happened, it's up to our minds to try and figure that out. But there's a scene where they show Billy Bauer, and he gets the information. You can tell it's almost a silent scene, and he kind of just puts it down and he just takes his breath and he just kind of goes back to his meditation. And and like you said, it was a very odd ending. It's kind of like, I think they tried to do it more stylishly than, because the song they were playing too, and I can't remember the song for the life of me, but it was a very upbeat, up-tempo song. It's not what you would have expected for the ending something like this, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and then, the other thing too, before Chris, before all that happened and he was on the phone with Billy, he asked for a favor, right?
Oh, yes.
So he's like, do you know anybody at Persona?
He's like,
and he said, yeah, another guy. So he ended up helping
Linda.
his Linda, was her name. Ended up helping Linda get the information she needed, and you kind of see a scene of she gets a call and like, I have some information and I need to share with you, and then you see her like get to the computer and start to log in. So
very sad in our world that, like we were talking a little bit earlier, Dustin, on the side, about how unless you know somebody, the chance of you getting past and getting the things you really need, especially with a tragic event, sometimes you just hit these blockades and there's no way around it unless you know somebody, and that's super tough to deal with, especially with the loss of a family member like that. Let's talk numbers, Dustin. We're giving up to.
So I gave this episode a 6, mainly because of the ending, and I really thought it was well done up until that point. I was very involved, and I was there. I was feeling the emotion, and then I just didn't like how it ended.
Sure. I would go a little bit higher, maybe like a 6.5, almost to a 7, but all the same. I mean, it's just a smidgen higher. I did like the episode. I thought the things that overtook the episode for me was the drama involved. The acting was awesome on all parts. And but the ending was it was an oddball one. But again, it's that they're trying to do that stylish kind of weird ending, which sometimes it works. I can't say it fully worked for this one. I have to probably lean with Dustin on this one. But we'd love to know what you guys thought. If you did watch the episode, make sure to put a couple comments down there. Let's start a little conversation on it. We want to see how many of you are actually even watching the show, and if you loved it or if you didn't like it, and give us a number. What did you think the show was at too?
Yeah, I know IMDb actually had this a little higher than episode 1. So
7.6,
like most people are
I think, with IMDb.
Yeah, pretty solid.
And we didn't mention, but on the last one, episode 1, I think I saw a 6.9. I think 6.9. Mm-hmm. So anyways, guys, that is Black Mirror episode 2. This one went a little bit longer, but there was a lot of deep drama going with this one. It was very interesting, I do believe. But overall, pretty cool. I think Dustin's already seen episode 3. I have to watch it still, so maybe we'll get that out maybe later in the weekend or extremely early next week. So make sure to come back, stay tuned, check out all our other content. A lot of fun stuff out there. And Dustin, unless you got anything else?
I don't. Nope. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.